Nomano has some amazing audio hardware coming out that can make remote podcasting and studio podcasting so much easier. Hi, this is Daniel J. Lewis from the audacitytopodcast.com with Brad Swanson from Nomano. And Brad, you have some really cool little gear under this little cap. Tell me about this.
Well, this is going to be a dramatic reveal. First of all, Daniel, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Inside here, this is really a small package, weighs about 3 pounds. It's intended to fit in the palm of your hand and be really easy for somebody to carry around in a backpack or something like that. So they don't need to carry around a whole bunch of gear to record a podcast in an environment like this. They come to Podcast Movement, they want to record their podcast while they're here, but they don't want to check a bag. They don't want to bring mic stands. They don't want to bring cables, all that. So inside here, I'll give you the dramatic reveal, is a central recorder, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a second, and then 4 of these wireless microphones. And they all live inside this charging case. You'll see these are flashing lights right now, and I should mention, just for everybody who's watching along, this is kind of an early prototype of things, so some of the things that you see will be changing as we continually evolve based on the feedback that's coming in. But the concept is 4 wireless mics for a host and 3 guests, something like that, that you can just hand out to people. Daniel and I could each take one of these and press one button, this record button, and you're good. You are going. There are no levels to set because we built the entire signal chain ourselves, from the transducer all the way through the mic pre, the A to D converter, all the way along going through. So there's 93 dB of dynamic range. You don't need to worry about having to set levels or anything like that. This is really meant for the podcaster who understands how valuable audio quality is, but really wants to focus on the interviews they're having, not be looking at their levels, making sure things are recording. Now, another thing that's going on, which I think is really useful for podcasters who find themselves in environments like this, there's a fair amount of noise.
Yeah.
We make sacrifices in audio quality to remove noise, to make speech more intelligible. What's going on under the hood here is this central recorder has an 8-element ambisonic microphone built in. And what that means is we can put this out here and it will record the sound of the room, which we can use for creative possibilities. But that also means that when we go to reduce noise from these mics, it's going to sound that much better than sort of conventional noise reduction techniques.
So we would put that unit farther away, not in the center of our table, but if we were standing around this table talking, we'd put that like at another table or a few feet away.
Well, it depends on the use case, because it can do some other things too. But that could be a use case that could work really well, where you say, there's music going on over there, we were waiting for the music to stop, but it kept going. That music would be really hard for a conventional noise reduction tool to remove. If we put this over a little bit closer, we now have a good stimulus that we hope to be able to have noise reduction technology that can pull that out while maintaining the clarity of our dialogue and not affecting that in a really negative way. Now, the other side of this, as we think forward to the future of podcasting, there's been a lot of talk at this conference about spatial audio, Dolby Atmos, things like that, and we're trying to anticipate some of the needs there. Ambisonic, as some people may be familiar, but it's fine if you're not, is a format that's been around for many years, but it upmixes the spatial audio quite well. This is capturing a 360-degree recording of the room. So you can really immerse your listener in this experience. Maybe you don't want to immerse them in this very noisy trade show floor, but let's say you're out in a park, on a beach, in a beautiful cathedral in Europe, and you want to immerse your listener in that experience. This is capturing that in 360 degrees in a way that can then find its way into a Dolby Atmos workflow. The other thing is, this is smarter than your average microphone. It's not just capturing audio, it's also capturing a lot of metadata with it. So that we have an understanding of where each person wearing a microphone is in relation to that unit. So this could be spatial audio where, let's say you and I wanted to move around, and I won't, so you don't have to chase me with a microphone. But if you wanted us to move around and that to be represented for your listeners, that would all be automated panning information. You could go in and adjust later, but we're just kind of scratching the surface of what's possible when microphones get a little bit smarter by capturing metadata along with the audio.
Now, for podcasters, so this presents all kinds of really fun possibilities that you might be thinking of, oh man, I could do this, or I could imagine doing this really cool thing. So if we were just looking at standard podcasting use, one of the things that whenever someone sees multiple microphones or has multiple microphones, two concerns. One, can each microphone be its own track? And two, since all microphones are very close to each other, how do you handle crosstalk? So tell me about those two things.
I'm so glad you asked those questions because they're very good ones and they're problems we're trying to anticipate. So I'll talk about crosstalk first. One of, and this ties in a little bit to something I haven't mentioned so far, is that this central recorder, if it's connected to Wi-Fi, uploads to our cloud automatically. So your audio recordings are backed up. And also, if we're here in Dallas, Texas, and we're collaborating with somebody in Cincinnati or Los Angeles or Norway, where our company is based, they can get access to those files right away. They don't have to wait for me to offload files from an SD card, upload them to my computer, send them to Dropbox. It's like I have this connected to the hotspot on my phone right now. So if we made a quick recording, it would upload to our cloud service immediately and be available to my team members. The reason I had to go through that whole preamble to get to crosstalk reduction is that in our cloud service, that's where we can do some really high-powered processing while you're sleeping or while you're waiting for things to happen, while you're doing another interview even. We have some automated processing, which we've tried to make as simple to use as possible. It's literally in our beta, which is a free public beta. If you want to check it out, you can get it on our website. And we'd be eager for podcasters' feedback. It will do crosstalk reduction where it says, I know what the signal is on this microphone, I know what the signal is on this microphone, let me reduce these from each other. And it can also do some compensation based on our relationships to one another, just to make sure that we don't run into phase issues because we're too close together or something like that, where you get comb filtering, those traditional problems when you have multiple microphones in one space.
So some of the stuff that just kind of sounds weird in a
exactly.
multi-microphone recording.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really the best description of it, is it sounds weird. Technically it's comb filtering, but don't worry about it. It sounds weird and you don't want it to sound weird. We're trying to anticipate those problems. So for the podcaster who's just like, I want my podcast to sound the best it can, but I also want to be engaging with my interview subjects, not messing around with my gear, not spending hours in post-production. We hope to anticipate some of those problems and remove the tedium from the workflow. So if you want to mess around with the audio, get your signature sound, put together a beautiful mix, do some sound design, spend your time doing that. Don't spend your time messing around with a noise reduction tool that can feel tedious sometimes.
So then to that first question, multi-track, do we get each of these recordings in separate tracks? How's that show in a DAW?
Yes, absolutely. So our intention here, you have multi-track available from every one of these tracks, and that means you have the flexibility whether you want to use our processing or not. So just pull those into whatever DAW you're already using and work with it that way. So we're trying to get you the cleanest possible tracks to start the editing process with, and that's what our processing is sort of geared towards. We don't want to mix tracks together for you, do it automatically. We're not that kind of a service. We're for the podcasters who are already comfortable in their DAW and they say, I want a multi-track, I want to have access to all this stuff, but if you can get me cleaner audio, and if you can make it easier for me to record my audio in the field, get it back to my colleagues who are back in another area or something like that, that's who we think we can help the most.
Okay. Now you said this all uploads automatically to the cloud.
Yep.
What else can you do besides that processing that happens automatically? What else can you do in the cloud with this audio?
Yeah, let's take a quick look at that. You'll see the sort of multi-track file available, and we're trying to make this as simple as possible. I'll back out one screen here, just a big file management area where you can share your files, rename your files. So like Daniel, if I want to share this with you, I just type in your email and you have access to that audio file. You can download it. You can play with it the same way I can. But if I open up this file, I can go in, I can see each of the tracks with a simple waveform. You don't need to go in and do anything detailed here.
And this is all in the web browser?
Absolutely. This is all happening in your web browser, and this is all before you hit your DAW. So what are those things you want to do to say, you know what, just clean it up, use this enhancement, which is literally one button, and sort of get it ready to go. Now, when we go back and we say we want to download this file, this will bring up a dialog where we can say, do I want the original one or the enhanced version? And you can get a mix of it. If you're super simple, you actually don't want the multi-track, we'll take a stab at giving you a mix. Or you can download the multi-track. And even if you want the Ambisonic's B format off of this, so you can, if you're super comfortable in Ambisonics and you want to mess with it, it's there for you.
Okay, nice. I love how it's so compact, so simple. It does a lot of things. It replaces so much other hardware that you have to connect. And even though hardware has gotten better, that you have to carry less around, this is all in one box. One nice little shell, and it's everything for you, even uploading to the cloud. So you don't even have to bring your computer to upload to the cloud. So now here's the difficult question.
Yes, of course.
And this is going to be difficult for you to hear. At this time, what is the pricing looking like to be on this?
So we're expecting this to be $3,000 US, and we know that is a stretch for many podcasters. Our hope is that the value that they're getting in time savings, because our time is our most valuable resource, ends up making it worth it in the long run. But we do understand that it's not for everyone, and our thing is we don't want to make quality sacrifices where we end up not giving people the best they can get to try and keep the costs, down so it's accessible to everybody. But I think we'll get there long term. This is, to give you a little more background on the company, we've been around for 3 years. We're a team of 35 people based in Norway. I'm actually the only employee here in the US. And this is manufactured in Norway to a very high standard, ethically, environmentally. And those things are really important to us. And in terms of components, our team built these microphones from scratch. They aren't off the shelf. And in that way, we think they sound really quite good. We're quite proud of that. So it does mean the cost is a bit higher. We do think it's worth it. And when we talk to the professional creators who have had a chance to listen to it, work with it a little bit, they say, I see how this could save me time traveling, setting up for a podcast recording session, in post-production. This is going to pay for itself eventually.
Yeah, especially if you do this kind of thing professionally, either recording or producing for another podcast. And all of this gear, it's small, yes, but it's replacing thousands of dollars worth of gear. You don't have to carry another mixer or a recorder. You don't have to buy individual wireless microphones, and each one of these being individual wireless microphones, even if you had the ability to record all of those multi-track, and what this is all doing. So it's the hardware that is already worth close to that price, and then it's also the software, the intelligence behind it, just all working together really well. So that is a high price tag, yes, but it's worth it, because if you tried to make this kind of thing yourself with separate pieces, it would cost about the same, but you wouldn't get as good of results as this is getting.
Yeah, and I think there's still a place for all the modular equipment where somebody says, I have a very unique set of needs where I need my wireless mics to do something very particular. So let's think about somebody, let's say it's a house of worship community, and they're saying, I need wireless mics that are going to work during my service, and I also need them to work for recording my podcast.
Yeah.
This actually wouldn't be the choice I'd recommend for somebody in the middle of like sound reinforcement. We actually don't support that. So there are solutions out there, but when you think about really good quality belt packs and lavs that you would use in a house of worship environment for live sound, you're talking thousands of dollars per channel. And I would discourage anyone from the cheap solutions. I've made that mistake myself. This is really designed for recording only, but recording at a very, very high level. And I think everybody's podcasts are worth it, but I understand that, like, if you're just getting your podcast started, make the podcast on your phone. As long as it's great content, that's what matters the most. You don't need a $3,000 box to make a great podcast, but if you're already making a great podcast and you're feeling these pain points, we'd love to help you with this.
So what I like about this is this isn't for everyone, and you didn't design it to be for everyone, but the people this is perfect for, it is perfect for. So that's why it fetches the high price, and it would be worth it to those people who use that. So I know that price is a little scary, but that means it's just not the right one for you. So I love what you're doing here, and what this I look forward to what this is going to make possible in the future, the kinds of content, the kinds of audio experiences, and what you'll be able to do as you evolve the product and the services too, as this is just a fantastic foundation to build on. So I will have the links and more, so you can learn more about Nomano and their amazing product here. I'll have the links below this video and at theaudacitypodcast.com/PM22. For Brad Swanson from Nomano, I'm Daniel J. Lewis from theaudacitypodcast.com. Thanks for watching.